here's everything you might have missed in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 4. While Marvel released the Zemo cut this week featuring more of Daniel Bruhl's killer dance moves, things are getting pretty dark over on the Falcon and Bucky show as our ideological battles increasingly become actual battles. Episode 4, The Whole World is Watching, finds Sam, Bucky, and Zemo hot on the Flag Smashers trail in Latvia. Unfortunately, everyone and their mother, including the Dora Milaje, have something to say about that. Now we're going to break down all the myriad Easter eggs, references, and hidden details that you might have missed during this episode, and as always, if you prefer to read all about it, Rosie Knight has you covered over on Nerdist.com. However, in order to talk about this episode in detail, we do need to spoil it. I mean, duh. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, or you clicked this video by mistake somehow, go grab a snack and watch the episode before you come right back here.
Turkish delight.
Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Now, the title of the episode itself, The Whole World is Watching, is a reference to a phrase that became famous when chanted by anti-Vietnam War demonstrators that were attacked by police during the 1968 Democratic National Convention outside Chicago's Conrad Hilton Hotel, the events of which are recreated in Aaron Sorkin's The Trial of the Chicago 7. The title has multiple meanings in the context of this episode, namely how all eyes are on Carly and the Flag Smashers as they continue their anti-nationalist mission, and on John Walker as the new Captain America, especially so during the episode's gruesome final moments, but more on that in just a little bit. Episode 4 begins by taking us 6 years into the past during Bucky's time in Wakanda, complete with Ludwig Göransson's Black Panther score in the background. In an emotional sequence, we learn how Io and Shuri deprogrammed the White Wolf of Wakanda from the Winter Soldier into the Weeping Shoulder before us. During this tense scene, the Winter Soldier theme plays in the background as we see flashbacks of Bucky's myriad exploits with Hydra that we first saw in Captain America the Winter Soldier and in Civil War, including the assassination of Howard and Maria Stark, Tony's parents, that is referenced in the end credits. Unfortunately, that goodwill's only worth about 8 hours of a head start for Bucky and the gang because Io is furious with Bucky for working with the man that murdered King T'Chaka in cold blood. She stalks off with her Kimoyo beads while Bucky heads back to Zemo's safe house. And speaking of Zemo, this man continues to be the MVP of this series somehow, rocking a luxurious robe and showing us Chekhov's Turkish delights while straight up gaslighting Sam and Bucky about how he may or may not have murdered Dr. Nagel in the previous episode to prevent that not-so-good doctor from making even more super soldier serum for the power broker.
Do we really have to litigate what may or may not have happened?
There's nothing to litigate. You straight shot the man.
Sam.
During this scene, we get to one of the very core questions of the series, the paradox of super soldiers and how power corrupts those who wield it. While Carly may just be a kid in Sam's eyes and he wants to deal with her peacefully, she is growing increasingly violent and killing people that get in her way. According to Zemo, Carly is a supremacist, and the very idea of a super soldier is actually a warped aspiration that led to Nazis, Ultron, and the Avengers.
Hey, those aren't friends you're talking about.
The Avengers, not the Nazis.
While Earth's mightiest heroes may be the quote-unquote good guys, they have inadvertently wrought havoc on unsuspecting civilians all over the world, from the Battle of New York to the Battle of Sokovia to Westview and WandaVision, the list goes on and on. Zemo says the desire to become a superhuman is intrinsically tied to supremacist ideals, which you can trace back in real-world history through Nazism and their obsession with creating an Ubermensch, a genetically superior being. And look, while known super soldier Steve Rogers never succumbed to supremacist ideology, there has also never been another Steve Rogers, much to John Walker's chagrin. Meanwhile, the Flag Smashers are busy eating a sad post-bombing breakfast in an abandoned building while they learn how their attacks have accelerated legislation to restore traditional border regulations into something known as the Patch Act. Sadly though, unlike Wolverine's alter ego in Madripoor, this patch has nothing to do with the X-Men. At the Global Repatriation Council camp, Sam learns that even though people there know who he is, an Avenger who's helped save the world numerous times, they're also loyal to the Flag Smashers and their cause, especially in the wake of the GRC's increasingly broken promises. We see another one of Zemo's schemos in action when he does his best impersonation of the White Witch of Narnia from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by using Turkish delight and a creepy version of Baba Black Sheep to trick children into trusting him with sensitive information. After all, as he told us, they're irresistible. Zemo mentions his son who died during the Battle of Sokovia, but all of that is actually in service of getting what he wants, information and leverage. Back at the safe house while Bucky gets tilted, Sam calls out exactly what's happening here.
He's just gonna extort you and do that stupid head tilt thing.
Back in Madripoor, Sharon Carter explains that things are a powder keg over there until the power broker gets their sweet, sweet serum back. And while I'm less suspicious of Sharon Carter this week, I'm still not entirely convinced she's out of the running to be the power broker herself or working with them because she has access to a couple of spy satellites. Now, I know, Could be a holdover from her SHIELD days or her CIA days, but it's eyebrow-raising nonetheless. While the Flag Smashers retrieve the Power Broker's blue goo from a secret hiding spot at Nico's grandfather's grave, Carly has a mild crisis of conscience. She wonders if she's making a big mistake by making even more super soldiers. And what follows is another dissection of the idea of Captain America in the modern world, and what a character like that and a figure like that means in a world that's changed so drastically since Cap was first introduced. The black and white morality of World War II is no more, and that shield is a monument to a bygone era. According to Nico, people are lost, and they need a leader who looks like them, who understands their pain, someone who understands that today's heroes don't have the luxury of keeping their hands clean. Now, that last bit is for everyone out there who lacks basic reading comprehension and just says things like, keep politics out of comics. I mean, they introduced this character literally punching Hitler in the face. What do you think Captain America is? So an interesting question comes up here. Could Carly someday become the next Captain America? Well, the idea isn't as crazy as it sounds. Considering the proud history of people with a lot of blood on their hands, like Bucky Barnes and Black Widow turning to the side of the Angels, stranger things have certainly happened both in the comics and the MCU. Carly could leave her identity as the Flag Smasher behind and take on the role of another character who tussled with Flag Smasher in the comics, like Ricky Barnes, aka Nomad. But for a more thorough explanation of how exactly that could play out, check out Rosie Knight's article over on Nerdist.com, which I will link to in the description below. Things get even messier though when John Walker and Lamar Hoskins arrive, because Captain America and Battlestar want to launch a full frontal assault on the Flag Smashers rather than let Sam utilize his background as a counselor for soldiers dealing with trauma that we first learned about way back in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Thankfully though, Lamar is the voice of reason and buys Sam what amounts to basically 10 minutes so he can convince Carly to cooperate peacefully while a sweaty John handcuffs Zemo to a pipe. And for a moment there, Sam seems like he's breaking through to Carly and getting her to understand that though she's onto something with her anti-corporate screed, she is still justifying the murder of innocent people to achieve her goals. Unfortunately though, John Walker has no concept of time. He gets super antsy and blows the entire operation. He is obsessed with the super soldier serum. He's deeply jealous of everyone who has it, like Steve, Carly, and Bucky, to name a few. So John, Lamar, and Bucky then crash the party and shatter any trust that Sam has built. Down in the basement, Zemo, who managed to escape captivity because of course he did, shoots Carly and smashes as much of the super soldier serum as he can find until John Walker thwacks him with the shield. While for a brief moment I thought Zemo was going to chug that serum himself, he does stay true to his ideals, thereby effectively removing him from the running to be the power broker. The same, though, cannot be said for John Walker, who makes the fateful decision to steal one of the only remaining vials, which will have major consequences as we move forward. As for the power broker, he's still sending Carly threatening texts, and honestly, since all we've seen of this dude are angry texts thus far, I would seriously laugh if he wound up being Arnim Zola, the former Hydra agent turned AI that we last saw during the Winter Soldier. I mean, after all, he would know a thing or two about Nazi science and Hydra secrets. So fingers crossed that if it does happen, we'll see him look just as goofy as he does in the comics, because, I mean, just look at this guy, like, what is this design? Back at the hideout, Sam reminds us why Steve Rogers chose him to be the next Captain America, because when Zemo asks if Sam would take the super soldier serum if offered, Sam wastes no time answering no, he wouldn't, because for Sam it's not about the power, it's about service and responsibility just like it was for Steve. Another thing worth noting is Zemo's line about super soldiers being a faction of gods amongst real people, and we're basically going to get the equivalent of that later this year when the Eternals finally join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They are an immortal alien race created by powerful cosmic beings, so good luck with that one, Zemo, but I digress. Because next we get the ultimate fake-out when Walker and Lamar burst in ostensibly to arrest Zemo, only to be interrupted by Io and two other members of the Wakandan Dora Milaje, Nomble and Yama, and they proceed to systematically dismantle everyone in that room, including disconnecting Bucky's vibranium arm with a built-in failsafe and stunting on John Walker with his own shield, and they briefly reclaim what was almost definitely stolen vibranium in the first place.
Did you know they could do that?
You just absolutely love to see it, especially Walker's deeply depressed they weren't even super soldiers remark towards the end of the fight. Just pizza chef, so good. Now during the fight, Zemo pulls an El Chapo and escapes into some weird bathroom tunnels that he apparently had access to the entire time, and after that, Lamar and John have the polar opposite conversation of Zemo and Sam about the serum and why they would take it without hesitation. Between feeling helpless in dire combat situations in war and the crushing weight of expectation that comes with being a hero like Captain America, they want to be empowered. And Lamar's comments about how power makes a person more of themselves actually echoes the words of Dr. Erskine, the inventor of the super soldier serum way back in Captain America, the First Avenger.
The serum amplifies everything that is inside, so good becomes great. Bad becomes worse.
Except, as we'll soon see, in this case, power and the serum make someone like John Walker the dangerous, violent, unhinged person that he really is deep down inside. Moving on, Carly uses Sam's sister Sarah as a back channel to reach him, threatening Sarah and the kids to make sure Sam complies. And fun fact, when Carly texts Sam, it's 3:12 p.m. on his phone. And coincidentally, Captain America 312 is the comic book debut of Flag Smasher. I know, you thought I wasn't going to read way too much into a seemingly random number, right?
It's a rhetorical question.
Well, guess what? You're wrong. When Sam and Bucky meet with Carly, things go sideways real quick because they realize she lured them there so the Flag Smashers could try and kill John Walker, because nothing makes quite a statement like murdering Captain America. Except now something is very different because John Walker has taken the super soldier serum. He exhibits super strength as he embeds his shield in the wall, bends a metal pipe in half, dispatches the superpowered Flag Smashers, and performs a superhero landing like it's nothing. That would annihilate your knees IRL. Anyway, dude is roid raging something fierce. Now, the big fight scene features a couple notable moments, including the extremely cursed image of Sam Wilson with John Walker on his left instead of Steve Rogers, and then we get another callback to the Winter Soldier when Bucky shows off his sweet knife skills.
What's with all the knives?
I'm sorry, what's that, John? You don't remember this iconic MCU moment? Sadly, though, we will never get to see Lamar's little Battlestar logo that he draws with his autograph, because during this fight between our heroes and the Flag Smashers, Carly punches Lamar into a column, seemingly breaking his neck and killing him. It's honestly a brutal moment, and it sucks to see a character like Lamar get fridged like this, which is something that does not happen with Battlestar in the comics. What follows, though, is actually straight out of the comics. In Captain America 338, Walker beats the villainous Professor Power to death. In Captain America 345, Walker's parents are kidnapped and killed by the terrorist group the Watchdogs, causing Walker to systematically kill them one by one. And in Captain America 350, we see the myriad ways in which Walker permanently stained the legacy of Captain America. And in this show, he does so quite literally. Unlike Thor in Infinity War, Walker goes for the head the first time with no qualms about it, and much like Thor in Avengers Endgame, he's probably going to regret it, because we see an enraged Walker viciously beating one of the Flag Smashers, Nico, to death using Cap's shield and possibly beheading him in the process. So this scene is doubly dark when you remember that Nico says he used to look up to Captain America when he was a kid, and now the Captain America at whom he's literally looking up at is here to murder him. Like, holy cow, guys, where's Billy Butcher when you need him? Honestly, probably on his way, because John Walker's diabolical act is caught in 4K by a crowd of people that film him brutally murdering his opponent. And honestly, kudos to Wyatt Russell for making Walker's transition from this obnoxious wannabe to terrifying monster so utterly chilling. The unsettling string section in the background and the visceral sound design make this one of the single most gruesome and upsetting scenes in the MCU's history. The image of Walker standing there, breathing heavily with a blood-soaked shield just staring at everyone in the crowd is truly haunting and will stay with us long after the credits roll. Anyway, folks, on that horrific note, that's everything we spotted in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 4. With 2 episodes to go, we are well past the point of no return, and we have plenty of questions and theories about what lies ahead, which we'll explore next week right here on Nerdist. In the meantime, though, we'll keep you up to date on all things Falcon, Bucky, and MCU over on Nerdist.com, but first, tell us, what did you think of this episode? What do you think is going to happen next? And did you spot anything that we missed?
Well, I got nothing.
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.